After using many workflow apps, I always hit a point where I get stuck. There's always a feature I need that the app just doesn't have. As a programmer, I could write that feature in 5 minutes. But some might ask, if you can code, why bother using someone else's workflow app? Well, the answer's simple. I ain't buying the whole cow just for a glass of milk. Writing the feature takes 5 minutes, but if I also have to build a config page, handle compatibility, and deal with cross-device delivery, suddenly it's a month-long project. Obviously, I shouldn't abandon workflows lightly. Ideally, a workflow app should let me drop in code anytime and handle dependencies for me. And, of course, it must deliver cross-platform seamlessly. Finding one that ticks all these boxes is tough, so I built my own. So I started my own business and developed Oomol Studio with my team, creating a workflow app that meets the above requirements. In this video, I'll show you how I use Oomol Studio to build an image processing workflow. Open Oomol, create a new project. I want to write code as simply as possible, so I just drag in a script block. By the way, Oomol supports Python, TypeScript, and JavaScript. Personally, I prefer Python, so I'll use that. This time, I want a workflow that turns color images into grayscale. First, download an image from the web. I'll use this URL. Next, I'll use the requests library to fetch the image via HTTP. I also need a file path to save it. I'll use session.dir, a folder Oomol provides for temporary storage. Of course, I still want to pass the downloaded image path to the next node in the flow. So I'll set up the output field, rename it to saved path, and make sure the code's return statement matches this. Finally, just need to write the code for saving downloaded files. And we're done. Time to test. Did I get it right? Error. Let's check. The issue? Requests isn't found. I forgot to install it. It's not a standard Python library. Oomol has a dependency panel. I'll search for requests here. Got it. Here it is. Just click here to install it. But right now, I don't want to click it. I'd like to show you how programmers usually install Python libraries. Typically, programmers use terminal commands to install libraries. Oomol comes with a built-in Linux container environment, so in this terminal, you just need to input Linux commands. For this project, I use Poetry to manage Python libraries, so I'll run the command Poetry add requests to install it. And boom, requests now appears in the config file. Installation successful. With that out of the way, let's hit run. Oops, another error. Let's check the error message. The saved path name was written incorrectly. Let me fix that and run it again. Should work now. Nope, still an error. Oh, looks like I typed writable instead of write. After fixing it, let's run it again. Success. Now let's check the logs. The saved path field shows the file path. This is where the image was downloaded to. I want to see what the image looks like in the workflow editor. All I need to do is drag a connection line from the saved path field, create a new image preview block, and hit run. Success. It's a sunrise landscape photo. This is the most basic way to use Oomol. The place where I just wrote the code is called a scriptlet. By inserting scriptlets into the workflow, we can write code on the fly to influence the flow. Back to my current task, the photo is downloaded and saved as a file. Now, I want to turn it into grayscale. I'll drag another line here and create another scriptlet block. Now I have two scriptlets. To differentiate them, I'll rename the first one to download image and change its icon. Then I'll rename the new scriptlet to gray and update its icon too. This way, the whole workflow becomes much clearer. Next, time to write more code. I'll use the PIL library to process the downloaded image. Oh, I almost forgot. I haven't installed PIL yet. Checking the poetry config file so far, I've only installed requests. Opening Oomol install panel, let's search for pillow. Yeah, that's the one. Click here to install. Done. Now, looking at the poetry config file, PIL is successfully installed. Back to the scriptlet and I can proceed to write code. But before that, let me rename the input field to something more descriptive, say image_path. It'll receive the image path passed from the upstream image preview block. Now I'll just open the file at that path. Convert it to grayscale, and assign it to a variable called image. Finally, I'll save the grayscale image. For the save path, I'll reuse the earlier code snippet. Oh, and I need to import OS first. Then, I'll output the new image path and of course rename the output field to gray_path for clarity. Now let's see what the converted image looks like. Just drag and drop a preview block, connect them, and hit run. Success! The colorful sunrise photo has turned into a grayscale one. But I feel the processed image is a bit too dark. So, I think I could apply some histogram equalization to the image. I don't know if it'll look better afterward, but it's just one line of code, so why not? Isn't this how a flow works? Adjust, test the result, adjust again if needed, and repeat until you're satisfied. It's not just flows, even Jupyter encourages this style of coding. I really hope people can feel the same ease when writing scriptlets as they do in Jupyter. Alright, hit run and see the effect. The image is brighter now, but the sun seems to be emitting beams upward. Ah well, never mind. Anyway, at this point, I've built a simple flow. Finally, I want to tidy up the entire flow so that when I share it with others later, they can use it smoothly. Oomol uses container technology to ensure that others running my flow will have the exact same environment as I did when writing the code. So I'm not worried about compatibility issues in delivery. It's more about fixing the bad smells in my code. Looking at the scriptlet I wrote earlier, I hard-coded the URL directly into the code. That's no good. I should add an input field named URL with a string type, allowing users to input the URL directly into the field instead of embedding it in the code. Accordingly, I'll tweak the code to read the URL from the parameters. Much better. Hit run. Error. Oops, small issue. The params is a dictionary, so let's adjust that. Run again. Success. See? This flow can take an image URL as input, run it, and download the image to convert it into grayscale. Next, I want to replace the scriptlet block that downloads the image via URL with Oomol's built-in URL to file block. Generally speaking, if a flow app already provides a feature, there's no need to write it yourself. So now, drag the URL to file block here. It does exactly what my scriptlet did, so it's a direct equivalent replacement. Copy the URL over, connect the edges, and then I can delete the scriptlet block. Let's check it. Hit run, and success. The revised flow has 2 steps. First, use the system block to download the URL and save it as a local file. Then, use my custom scriptlet to process the image and turn it into grayscale. Of course, preview blocks are placed in between and at the end to display the images. In Oomol, when you arrange a flow, you can insert your own code anywhere. Lastly, I want to package this flow for future reuse. Here, I can convert the entire flow into a subflow. Once converted, it will appear in the shared blocks area. I'll give it a meaningful name so that in other flows, it can be run just like a regular block. After converting to a subflow, it automatically gets an input handles and an output handles. Since the subflow's internal details aren't exposed externally, I can safely delete all preview blocks. Then, move the input handles here and connect the URL field. This effectively exposes the URL field to users. Of course, I should also remove the hard-coded value of the URL field. What it should be is up to whoever calls this subflow block. Next, move the output handles over here. What's the final output of this subflow? Exactly the processed grayscale image path. Connecting the image path here makes it the output of the entire subflow. Naturally, the preview block is useless now, so I'll delete it. The adjusted subflow looks like this. Now, I can call this subflow block in other flows. I'll create a new one. In this fresh, empty flow, I want to directly use the subflow I just created. Simply drag the subflow block from the Shared Blocks panel onto the new flow. See? The subflow is displayed as just one block. In essence, a subflow is like a function in programming. It encapsulates your code internally, and external users only need to know its name to call it. If I ever need to peek into the subflow's implementation details, I can open the settings panel and click here. It'll show the subflow as a full workflow. Of course, as a user of the subflow block, I don't need to care about its internals, just use it like any other block. Like this. If I just want to see the processed grayscale image, I can connect its output to an image renderer block. Then, set its URL field to the image URL from earlier. Hit run, and I'll see the final result while bypassing the subflow's details. Alright, that wraps up this demo video. The Oomol Studio used here can be downloaded directly at this link. This video is the first in a series introducing Oomol's design philosophy. In the next one, I'd like to discuss how Oomol isolates workflows and blocks from different authors using container and layer tech, as well as how Oomol ensures dependencies are fully installed when delivering workflows to users' devices.